Welcome to Friends Like Us. I'm Marina Franklin here with you, and I have my co-star. It's
Evelyn Frick.
hello. Welcome to the summertime. But of course, we can't go outside.
We're just stuck in without the AC on because I'm nervous that the air quality is gonna, I don't know, like it's not gonna filter, but it's fine.
I still put the air on.
I mean, I think eventually I'll break and we'll put it on. Although hopefully, like I think the air quality right now is moderate, so hopefully it's going down to healthy again. Um, but I know the fires are still happening, but I'm kind of annoyed. I was like, I thought we were over this.
It's part of our new normal.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder about those filters with the air conditioners.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I have a good one either. I mean, I can only tell from how it smells in my apartment, but I don't think that I saw someone on New York One say this.
Yeah.
They they always like to show like people who don't get it.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, oh, thank you for joining us, everyone. Tell us where you're watching us from. I usually put that in the chat, but just tell us where you are and where you're watching us from. And welcome to Friends Like Us. And if you didn't know, I do this every Saturday. Next Saturday, we are off because I'll be in Chicago. But we do this to promote my podcast. It's called Friends Like Us, and it is on every platform. And I'm sorry for the freezing. It will change in 15 minutes. When we have a third person join us, but that's what's happening. So it's we haven't figured it out, but we'll get there someday.
We're just rolling with it.
We're rolling with it. But New York One had a guy on there. He goes, look, I can't see it, so we're out here having a good time.
Oh my gosh. Well, the thing is, I don't know about it, like, but I could see it. Like, it was just really hazy. Like all the time yesterday I after work like had like a happy hour with some of my like friends and coworkers. Um and we actually like we were talking about how crazy it was that like we wanted to sit inside because for the last like few years like we've just been like okay like sit outside, that's like safer with COVID. But now like I'd rather like yesterday I'd rather like risk getting COVID for like 90 minutes getting drinks with my coworkers than sit outside in the air quality that I know is bad. um so
You can't see particles, like you could see the haze like you were saying,
yeah.
but for this guy to just go, oh, it looks good,
Yeah.
it's like you don't know. That's what is always amazing to me. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a hypochondriac, but if you ask everyone else, they'll be like, Marina's definitely. But it's like, no, I just think these are simple things. Like,
Yeah.
so when I go out, I usually wear I have one of the N95 masks that I wear.
Yeah.
Like today when I went to the farmer's market, I had it on. I'm like, what's one day?
Yeah, no, I'm hoping it seems like it's passing over us. So hopefully we'll be able to unmask outside soon. But yeah, same here. Also it's so crazy that it's like you can't see it. Cause also like the information, like we don't know what's in the air, but the information about what the air quality is like is pretty easily available. Like I know not everyone has an iPhone, but like if you have an iPhone, you can just check it on there. You can Google what the air quality is. So like even if
Mhm.
you can't see it, it's very easy to find out if it's good or bad.
Yeah, it's there's so much information, more information than ever about the weather. It is
Yeah.
sad though that this is kind of our new, this is global warming.
Yeah, it just is what it is. The air quality is really bad here in like Texas. I think like it's how they've had like multiple weeks of heat wave where it's been in the triple digits all the time.
Oh.
So like I remember like, 5, 10 years ago when like politicians would be like, what do you mean? Like global warming isn't happening. It's not getting warmer. Well, now welcome. It is. It's happening.
I It's like so weird how it became just Republicans were doing that, right? But then it
Yeah,
started to sort of seep into even the people that we knew
yeah.
because they just wanted to hang out more or just,
Yeah.
you know, live life.
And, like, I do like, I 100% get that impulse.
Me too.
I would rather, like, not worry about it and, like, not have to think about it and just live my life, but, like, I'm 25 years old, like, I only have 1 pair of lungs, and so I don't want to, inhale bad things into it, so I'm being as safe as possible, and sometimes that means, yeah, not going outside, but yeah, I don't think there's, like, any place really you could go in the world at this point where you wouldn't have to deal with like, something like this at some point.
It's about quality of life, right?
Yeah,
Like, okay, so you're young, but how do you want to spend those years when you're
right.
older? Do you want them to be good or do you want them to be like where you're suffering? I've seen people where they're suffering from 40 on,
Yeah,
or 50 on or 60 on, and it does not have to be that way.
yeah.
You can have good quality of life, and it means that simple things just need to be paid attention to. My sister is here again, and she was like, "Oh my God, turn off the news, please." But who is that? Who could
Is that
that
your
be?
buzzer?
Yeah, maybe my sister. I don't know. Let me just
Yeah, yeah.
let's see.
No worries.
Okay, I think it's my package, my herbs.
Ooh, that's
Um,
exciting.
but the bugs. Have you experienced what Eric is talking about here?
I I mean, I haven't noticed it being, like, more buggy than usual, but it does feel like, I don't know. There have been more, like, gnats in my apartment that I've had to deal with this year, which has been slightly annoying.
Yeah, I had one hit me in the head when I walked out the door.
Oh my god.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, like, "Get away from me."
I saw someone on the news and they had all these white bugs in their beard.
Oh my god, that's so gross.
That is so gross.
I would be so, like, embarrassed to be on TV when people see me like that.
Oh, look at DJ Eric Prince is like, I wasn't thinking that way when I was in my 20s. What were you thinking about? You were thinking about your records. Speaking of records,
Mhm.
house music, DJ Eric Prince. Um, Next weekend will be off because I will be at the Chosen Few Music Festival, the house music festival in Chicago. That's the biggest, that's the most original house music festival of all the house music. I don't think it's the biggest one, but it is from where it started. It's definitely a success story because it started as a picnic between like maybe
Oh,
like
wow.
yeah, like a few people, like just a family picnic
Yeah.
of DJs who started in Chicago. Like you saw that article. Can you tell them like what you sent to me?
Yeah, yeah. So maybe like last week or at some point, I saw this article shared on Twitter, and I can't remember the publication, but it was some like local Chicago publication
Look,
talking about,
put it.
um, yeah, yeah, the warehouse, which is this place where like people would go in Chicago to listen to house music and kind of like a place where house music originated. And it's big. The city of Chicago is like making it like a historical landmark. So I saw that on like Twitter and like immediately, of course, thought of Marina and sent it to her because that's cool. It's like really I don't know. It's nice when like culture that like is like I don't know. Like I wouldn't say that house music is like super mainstream, but like when culture that's not mainstream is appreciated and like taken care of, that's cool.
You know, it's the most popular music though globally.
Yeah. What? No, I don't know. What is it?
House music.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what my friend Hatem told me, who's on
Okay.
here sometimes. House music is the most popular music globally. So like
That's so
maybe
cool.
yeah. Um Last Sunday I went to what's called the House of Yes. Have you been there?
I have. It's really fun. It's a great venue.
It is, it's fun. They play house music and it's also our, whatever EDM, but
Yeah.
this Sunday they were playing house music and it was for Pride.
Oh,
And
that's great.
you know, Pride or the LGBTQ plus community is the roots of house music.
Yeah.
And I would go to the warehouse when I was just 16. I don't think I was actually able 18, or I think I got like a fake ID so I could get in early.
That's so funny.
And I remember my sister and I would go there. My dad would give us his car. And I just put this together, right?
Yeah.
I think my family's probably watching this now because it's on my Facebook. So, Lee Franklin. But my dad would have us leave. Like we would spend the summer with my dad. It was our
Mm.
time to spend with him.
Yeah.
And he would give us his BMW, which we were like, "You sure?" And he's like,
Yeah.
and we didn't get it. We were like, he would give us his car and tell us to go wherever we, go out.
Wow.
And we would go to the warehouse and we'd be there from, we'd start, used to start early. We used to get there like 10 or whatever. That's
Yeah.
early for us. Then we started later and like we used to get there at like 12 or whatever. My dad didn't care. We'd head
Yeah.
out the house, go to the warehouse. We'd be there until 4, 5, and we wouldn't get back in until 7 a.m.
Oh, wow.
What I realize now is that that's because he was he was getting late.
Yeah.
So of course,
Yeah, yeah.
it was an easy one for him. It was like, yeah, get the girls out the house. Because
That's
one
so
time we did get back early and we were like, what is that? Yeah, he got busted.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was really, really funny. But back then at the warehouse, it was probably one of the best. I mean, it was just so much fun. It,
That
it
sounds
was,
really
I
fun.
cannot, and a lot of people are like, do you do a lot of drugs? We were too young to do
Yeah.
alcohol and drugs. It was the music. It sounds corny, but the music really did make us high.
That's awesome.
It was enough.
Yeah, yeah.
And all those guys that I thought didn't want to dance with me, they were gay. I didn't know. I didn't know at the time. I had no idea. I was like, I wish he would dance with me. And I was like, I'm good. And a lot of my moves are influenced by what I used to see
Oh,
back in the day. So like I'm doing a lot of posing and stuff. I had no idea,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
that is the roots of gay of house music is gay culture too.
Yeah,
So it
totally.
goes hand in hand and it
That's
was
amazing that you got to experience that.
yeah, it's like very very young watching it and some of the best DJs, Frankie Knuckles, Lil Lewis, DJ Ron Hardy, and the fact that they made that a landmark in Chicago is so freaking cool.
It is
Oh
really cool.
god, because I just like I know I sound old now, but I just think of all the fun times we had just hanging out there. It's so much fun. I think nowadays, like I see young people, like I saw at the House of Yes, they did it under the K Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'm seeing the younger generation, and I do see them liking it, but I do see them not exactly getting it.
Yeah,
They're like
yeah,
but they don't, like, feel it like, so they're but it's good. It's good. It's all good.
yeah, yeah.
You know? So next weekend, Chicago, Chosen Few Picnic, Grant Park in Chicago. Already got my tickets, and Gina Yashere is gonna be there too.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I know. What are your plans for the summer?
So next, a few weeks ago, I was in Vermont, which is why I was off. And then a few weeks from now, I'll be up at a lake house in Minnesota with my girlfriend's family. So it'll be really fun. I've never my parents are both from the Midwest, so like every summer they would like spend time on like lakes. And I'm from the East Coast, so I never really did that. So I'm excited to like kind of have that experience. That feels like very quintessentially Midwestern.
Oh, that is. Yeah. In Michigan?
Minnesota.
Minnesota, Minnesota, Minnesota.
Yeah, we'll be up in Brainerd, I think. slightly north of the Twin Cities. But yeah, it'll be really fun. I've met my girlfriend's family before, but like they're a big family, so I've never like seen them like all together. So it'll be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna be with another family.
I know. Yeah. It'll be good though. Like I like them all a lot. We all get along. So it'll just be really fun and relaxing. I think we'll do some like like canoeing on the lake, and just like I want to spend a lot of time just like out in the sun and reading. So that'll be really relaxing, and that's kind of like my last like big thing as of right now planned for the summer. But we'll see what happens.
That's awesome. Canoeing. Are you gonna read a book on the canoe and just sit there in the sun?
I would love nothing more than to do that. Yeah, I have some books on like I have a list of like books that I want to read that is like so long. So yeah, I think I'll probably bring a couple of those with and just like see how much I can get through.
What book? What's the book you really want to read?
Um, oh gosh, there's so many. It came out a few years ago. I might get the title wrong, but I believe it's called The Water Dancer or The Water Bringer by Colson Whitehead,
Mm.
um, who is this really great like black author, and it was like his latest, like it came out of years ago, and it was like a new novel from him, like for the first time in a while. So I've been
I
meaning
think I
to
have.
read that.
Well, I have what Coty.
Oh, Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah, I have. I'm reading this right now. I've been reading it for a while.
Oh no, you're so right. It's Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's not Colson Whitehead. Yeah, that's for it, what I was thinking of. The Water Dancer. It's his first novel. He's written a lot of like nonfiction.
So good.
Okay.
I've just smoked too
That's-
much weed to get through it faster. But it's so good. I'm in where am I? You'll probably finish it before me and you're starting after me. Where am I?
I read so slowly though.
I'm on page 108. It's so good. It's beautifully written. It's like you escape into a world.
Ooh, I love that.
I
Yeah.
really like I was thinking this morning how much I miss Toni Morrison and
Yeah.
how I wish she had another book coming out. Like I used to just eagerly await her books.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. It's been like, I don't know, feel like there's some authors, and Toni Morrison is definitely one of them, where like I very purposefully like don't like I'll read them and then like put it aside for like a year or two, so that like when I like do reread it, it feels like a little bit more of a treat because I don't like remember everything. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. But yeah, and then I think I'll bring so The Water Dancer, and then I also something completely different. There's the memoir from this like former child actor named Jeanette McCurdy. I think it's called like I'm Glad My Mom Died.
Oh,
And it was like, yeah, it was like it came out last year, I think, and was like really, really big. And I've heard a lot of people talking about it. So I think I'll also bring that one with.
oh wow. I like that. All right. This is good. We had our good where we get to talk cuz when the
Yeah.
when the man joins us.
Yeah.
I love how this person said, "What hello ladies from Germany. Hello Steven.
Hello.
Where's that old funny white dude I've seen on your podcast?" So just to clarify, this is not the podcast. This is the live to promote the podcast. I mean, I guess you can, if you want to think of this as a podcast, you can, but it's not. The podcast is actually Friends Like Us, which is available on all platforms. You can see from the link tree that's scrolling underneath here. That is where you go. Okay, I'll put it in the chat when the old white dude joins us because he's going to take up some time talking about, memorabilia and, Barry Manilow, those type of things.
Yes.
So but Friends Like Us, and we have a really great episode that's on right now currently with her name is Shalita Grant, who I don't know if you watch You.
I haven't, but I think mentioned her to, or you mentioned this to me last week, and I looked her up, and she looks like she's amazing in the show.
She's amazing. She's amazing on the show, and she was also on NCIS, and she's talking about hair products.
Yeah.
But we also I fanned out with her, and she talks about the show for a little bit and why she left the show because of the Crown Act, which is, like, black women in Hollywood always have to do stuff with their hair to protect it, and she came
Yeah.
up with a solution. So it's a really great episode. I think you should check it out. And then next week we're going to be the episode that's coming out. We're going to be talking about the writers' strike with one of the chairs of organizing strikes. So it's a good
That's
one
awesome.
with Mark Theobald. All right, here we go. Let's give ourselves an applaud
Mhm.
for us.
Yeah, for us.
And now let's bring on the man,
Hello, hello,
Juskow.
ladies. Very nice to see everyone. It's wonderful to be here, and it's very hot outside, but I'm thinking about maybe going out a little when the sun goes down.
Now, which person are we speaking to
I'm
today?
being a very old man, and I'm being very white. My skin is very fair. I can't just go out in the sun the way I used to. First of all, that Jeanette McCurdy book is amazing,
Yeah.
and I used to watch iCarly all the time, and yeah, so it's kind of funny because her mother on the show was evil, and then it turned out her mother in like real life is evil.
Well,
Maybe
yeah.
that's where the guy got it from, and she wouldn't come back to. And yes, Ari, I love Barry Manilow, and I went to see him in concert. And she wouldn't come back to the new iCarly one, which I can't even believe I'm watching on Paramount Plus because I wanted to see her and Freddie get together, and in the third season they're finally together, and I just can't even believe it. I'm sitting there like an idiot, and I hate myself, but I can't help. But I'm kind of glad Jeanette McCurdy's not on because she was very upsetting on that show. She was very mean. Of course, it came from a place where it's supposed. But yeah, that book is in. She just left the business, which you have to respect.
Yeah.
And was very angry.
And wrote an incredible book, apparently.
Yeah, wrote an incredible book. I mean, what's next? I mean, how is she gonna, what does she do now? I mean, does she go back? She also did the Sam and Cat show after that with Ariana Grande.
Yep.
Where they combined Victorious and iCarly. Why I know all this and don't have kids is weird, but I love that kind of stuff. So I saw Life of Pi last night on Broadway.
How was that?
It was kind of fantastic.
I love Life of Pi, the movie.
Yeah, I'd never seen the movie, so I was kind of blown away. It was very interesting. It's all puppetry.
Yeah, I've heard the puppetry is like really amazing.
Oh, it's fantastic, but you have to go with it, So
Yeah.
I was with my friend who's 19, and this is the funniest thing. She, we went, and the lights go up, and she's like, "That's it? I don't understand. I mean, did he get off the boat?" And I'm like, "It's intermission." It was cute because I think she just really didn't know
what was happening.
Yeah, and it wasn't stupidity. It was I think she's only been to one other Broadway show in her life.
Oh,
and yes, I am definitely robbing the cradle. I'm not trying.
That
to.
is true.
It's very
Millennials
nice.
and Generation Zs probably aren't used to commercials even because they stream things.
That's an excellent point. I didn't even think about that, but I don't think she's a theater person. She's from the Bronx. I don't think they go to a lot of Broadway shows. I don't think her parents have a lot of money. And I found this great deal on tickets for these shows, so I got them for like half price. And for that, if I paid $250 for the ticket, I don't know how much I would have liked the show, but for $99, the way I saw King Kong in the same kind of way with the puppetry, you see something interesting and the way they can use theater and make it so amazing and make a boat on the water. It's kind of fun.
It's
the first show to do that was
Lost
like Phantom
Art
of the Opera.
Yeah.
Well, and Phantom of the Opera kind of, I think we might have even talked about this, kind of changed Broadway in making the ticket prices rise because everybody wanted boats on the stage going and chandeliers dropping. And this is one of those shows that kind of uses all that modern technology and really interesting stage. You really got to be something else to be able to direct a show like that. And it's great. So the show's closing on July 23rd. And at the end of the show, and I had never seen this before, I don't know whether it was the writer or he was in the play, so it's weird, but he kept calling it his play. So he goes, "Hey, we're closing soon. Tweet it. tell your friends. Please have everybody come. We love doing this show. Maybe I had seen that before with the show that Sarah and I went to see called Significant Other, which was so terrific. And the guy ended up writing Sarah's Broadway musical, Josh Harmon. And I think they came out after and said, please, people, right? And we really want, I mean, that one was different than this. This, I don't think it's going to work. But this shows a lot of the plays that aren't musicals on Broadway get lost in the shuffle. If they don't have Jessica Chastain in them or somebody big, they get lost. And that's
Is it
why
because what do people need? They need it to be jazzed up, the information.
Unfortunately, yeah, I know. Heck, I am blabbering. It's they do need it that way. Broadway is mostly musical based. That's what money is made. I know. I am blabbering, but I
But
like
you know what?
talking
That
about
reminds
Broadway.
me of when I talk about cancer. I used to do this joke about how, like, I would tell people, like, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I felt like I had to jazz it up so that they didn't get all sad.
Yeah, well, that's true because you don't want to be one of those people for sure. And
So I'd be like,
never were. You never were. I never felt for a second bad for you like that way. You know, I obviously wanted to help and everything, but you actually made people feel less bad about you having cancer, which is, I guess, a real
yeah, it became about
person you
really
are.
you and making sure you were okay. I remember I was like, come on, you got to get out the house. Let's go to the hospital. You need to
Well,
be
that
around
is the
people.
fun. I mean, you know, that's what people do for Todd Barry as well. You know, like remember I told you that time Sarah was having a premiere of her movie and Sarah's manager hates Todd, you know, because you have to worry about Todd, you know, even though it's Sarah's premiere of a movie, and he's like, Todd's hungry. Like, and they're like, well, we got to get Todd some food. And even Sarah's like, Todd, sit down. We're going to get you some food.
Now, Evelyn, have you watched Todd Barry? Have you followed him?
I know the name. I kind of know his general vibe, that kind of like that. But yeah, I've never really watched any of his.
He was just talking about how he eats out. You know, he really does. Like, I don't think he cooks ever. He just eats out. Like, that's
He
his
used to
diet,
cook.
right?
He used to cook because he actually made a short film about cooking.
Oh, he did?
And borrow it was, I think it was called Borrowing Saffron or something, because he was cooking, and he used to have this horrible apartment right in the East Village, but he definitely used to cook because he's very cheap. But now I think he does eat out a little more because I've been out to dinner with him, but he's very cheap, very cheap. One of those guys.
He's very particular about where he goes, though, and I think he reviews like coffee houses. Whenever I go somewhere, he goes, best coffee house. And I go, where is it? He goes, you should have contacted me.
Yeah,
I know where all the
he's
best
so
coffee
funny.
houses are.
Look, Mike read his book, Welcome to Hattiesburg. That's great.
Okay, yeah.
Evelyn, he's so funny. He's funny in every way. Like, his presence on stage is his exact presence off stage. And, you know, as you got to really get to know him, because you can't really get to know him. Like, he'd probably be like a tell in the sense, if you met him, like, oh, I really like your stuff. Like, he'd be really excited that you knew him and liked his stuff. But then he would just keep asking, so what did you think of, you know, this, which is the opposite of a tell, who would be like, thanks a lot, jerk off, you know, like, just get lost. Don't talk to me. But he's, you know, he's just a strange guy, but that's what makes him a really good comic in a way.
Yeah.
Is real strangeness.
Yeah, they're very
he opened for
unique
Sarah when
character.
Marina didn't.
Yeah,
Oh,
very unique character, and helped me more in like kind of like a comedy daddy.
Is that right?
Weird.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I
like
didn't know
Todd
that.
has always helped me in very intense like situations where I just didn't know what to do.
That's
Todd was
interesting.
Todd was always there.
That's huge news. I never knew that. You know,
I
I've
never
always
really
just-
put it together, and then I realized Todd helped me with my credit score.
Wow,
that's big.
He helped me with my website, the website that I have currently running. I've seen what else. He's helped me get out of so many situations when I'm on the road where I'm like, I'll be like, oh. And then Todd was like, yeah, no, this is what you do. This is what I would normally
that's
do.
really nice.
Yeah,
I've never heard him do anything for anybody else. So this is shocking news. Even though I like him anyway, for years, the first time he was on,
he was straightening out your
Letterman?
airline. Actually, yes, airline points. The reason I have miles. No joke.
It's 'cause
Mike
of
did it
Todd,
too. I
huh?
think you were joking, but the reason I have Miles is because of Todd Berry.
Yeah. The first time he was on Letterman, I had a party at my house, or Conan, one of those, because I was so, excited for him, because he really is a really good comic, and he's an okay guy, like, it's hard to, it's hard to be friends with him, but he's a sweet guy. And he was so nervous that night, he just kept going to the bathroom, like, just even though the set was done, it was already on TV, but it was so cute. And I do enjoy his company a lot of times. I like talking to him too.
Oh, okay, Mike, you weren't joking. Yeah, he will straighten out your airline points. Yeah, he got me. I didn't even know. I was like, the first time I was on a flight international, he goes, gotta get those miles.
Gotta get those miles, man.
Gotta
What's
get
up?
those
Hey,
miles,
man, what's up, Snippy,
man.
man? What's up? What's up? Jeff Ross
Miles.
coming? Jeff Ross coming? Man.
And then he does this with his eyebrows. He'll go,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
What's up,
what?
man?
He
I
goes,
think he has a new
"Mhm."
girlfriend. Like, he always
Oh
talks
yeah,
about,
she's
we talk
gorgeous.
about, yeah, she's really nice. But he's like, what do you think of my girl, man? I met her on New Year's. She was very nice. He always has a girlfriend. It's kind of funny. We've always talked about girls because I guess we used to date some of the same girls. And so that's always the topic of conversation sometimes. But he's a gentleman.
And he's like from the days of being in the Village. Like he's a real the alt
No,
comedy scene
he
was
lived on
really
8th Street and 2nd Avenue when, even though I still think it's a dump, when it was a real dump and scary. He lived right above Sarah Silverman and her roommate Beth, who I'm ironically seeing on Thursday. I hated that they lived there. As they're only 6 years older than them, I felt like their father, and I'm like, your parents are okay with you living here? It's the way I
Oh
feel
my
about Evelyn.
God,
I would never want her living in that neighborhood.
Heck Tech is so funny. Marina, could you explain them new headphones? It's because I was okay. Let me explain.
You're like that guy
And
in The Empire Strikes Back.
wait, hold on. I have to answer this question. Someone asked me what happened was I was on Fortnite with Mateo literally before I signed on. I told Evelyn, I was like, I'm not prepared today. I was literally, and they were like, I have to do my live with Juskow. And Mateo was like, you'd rather do that than hang with us you'd rather hang with Juskow.
Yeah, well,
So I forgot I still had on my gamer's headset. You just reminded me, Heck Tech. I completely forgot. I'm switching over. Now you can talk as much as you want. But please talk. Like, have a conversation with Evelyn while I'm doing this. Don't just talk. Do you know how to do that?
Me?
Yeah. Who else would I be talking to?
Is this you? Wait. Damn it. Oh,
What is it?
I'm trying to. There you are.
Oh,
who's that?
That's you. But it's the guy from Star Wars, from The Empire Strikes Back.
I'm about to switch my headset. Let's see.
That's what I was thinking when I saw those.
Completely forgot I was wearing them. Thank you.
Evelyn, what are you going to do
choice.
Evelyn, what are you going to do for the 4th of July?
Nothing. Yeah, I don't really do a lot. I think honestly, what Sophie and I will do is we'll probably just like make a very like 4th of July like meal, like hot dogs, watermelon, corn, stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. Over the last few years, I haven't felt like super celebratory about.
Well, you hate America?
Yeah, basically.
So you are angry at the Independence Day setup. There is something you're not celebrating.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just not a very nationalistic person.
Right. You're doing a soft protest.
Yes, very soft. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy having the day off from work, but
you have Monday off too, right?
No, I don't, which is the weird thing.
Oh, really? We have Monday off too. I'm pretty stoked about that.
Happy Canada Day.
Oh, yeah, it is Canada Day. I forgot about that. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably just enjoy the day off. If the air is good, we'll probably just like hang out in Prospect Park, which I'm sure like a lot of people will be having barbecues and things. And I like enjoy being out in the community when people are like being celebratory, but it's like, it's not really my thing. It was like, I remember when I was younger, we used to do like sparklers and stuff, and like that was fun, but not anymore.
Yeah, I used to get a whole bunch of fireworks, from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Oh my God, it was the greatest. Because I used to get fireworks when I was a kid from the trunk of a guy's car in Chinatown, and then they opened these actually legal stores. But the funny thing is, when you get them in Pennsylvania, it's illegal in New Jersey. So you can't, when you get to Pennsylvania, you cannot go in the store if you have a Pennsylvania license, even though the store is in Pennsylvania. And then you can't cross the border with the fireworks from Pennsylvania. It's like all these ridiculous rules and laws. But man, those fireworks are those professional ones, and they're so fun, but they're so expensive. But they were like, that's all I ever wanted to do as a kid, is have a store like that. So it was like a dream come true, going there with a shopping cart. And then of course asking for some of the ones that are politically incorrect, that you can't say anymore, that these teenagers didn't know the words. I'm like, well, it used to be called something else, but I think they renamed it because it's not it's not woke.
Yeah.
I love what Stephen Ma wrote here, also because it covers most of your face. I actually think it's more economical than anything, as the middle class continues to shrink. Very few middle class have disposable cash to go to the theater. I'm fortunate to be able to go to various opera houses here in Europe, but honestly, folks, I'm just not cultured enough to value going to the Palace Garnier. What is that?
I don't know what that is either, but it sounds fancy.
It sounds very fancy.
Sure does.
And yeah, thank you, Stephen Ma.
I mean, that is very true. Like, I only recently feel like I have enough disposable income to go to the theater on occasion. It's not something that is easily accessible for people.
Well, it wasn't for me either until I found this deal.
Yeah, that's the way you got to go. Like, I finally got tickets to see Parade in a few weeks, which I'm really excited about.
Said it was great. Said Ben Platt's on stage in the intermission like the whole time.
Yeah, it's amazing. But the way that I was able to do that was because, like, a friend of mine who I'm going with went to NYU, and I guess NYU students get alums get really big discounts.
Rush tickets, yeah.
So she was able to get tickets for us, and instead of like $100, it was like $30.
40. Yeah. You can play the lottery too. It's just that, it's like you get 2 days notice. And it's really good because I was playing that for the Life of Pi before I found this guy. And you can play that and you can get cheap tickets on all. And Hamilton started that. Lin-Manuel started that because he wanted people that weren't just, because those tickets were going for thousands of dollars. So he's like, I want to make sure that regular folk can go. And it's a lottery. Now all the shows do it. You get tickets for $40. You just play the lottery and people win all the time. They win multiple times. And it's just totally random and it's super cool. I'm glad you're seeing that show. I love Ben. I actually watched the movie Dear Evan Hansen last night, which is just so horrible in many ways because he's so old. Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
I can't bring myself. I've tried and I can't.
I keep having trouble. Yesterday was the most I've ever watched of it. He's just so awkward looking and weird, and yet he was the greatest thing I've ever seen on Broadway when I saw that show. And that's why it's so weird that it didn't carry over to the movie, because that was one of the greatest performances. That was the greatest performance I've ever seen by a man on the Broadway stage.
Oh, wow. That's pretty big for you.
Yeah, because I've seen women do great performances like that girl from Next to Normal and Christina Ebersol.
Jennifer Holliday, she transformed. She's the reason I'm in theater, was in theater in the first place.
What, and was she in?
I know she's telling you.
Oh, she's from Dreamgirls.
I'm not going.
Yeah, that was something else, huh?
Thing I've ever known, and there's no way.
Well, that song is the standard of if you can sing that song.
No way.
Yeah, and now for the boys.
No way. I'm living without you.
And now that sounds good.
It is good.
I don't want to be free.
And now for the boys, the standard is actually probably waving through a window with Ben Platt.
Oh yes.
His voice is so good. Like, so watching that movie, when you hear him sing, it's great. But oh god, he's so gross in it. It's just not.
Well, I'm glad that he's been able to repair his reputation since that through Parade, I think.
Yeah, and that and maybe it is just Parade because I know he was also doing a show at the Beacon. I was trying to see, but the tickets were ridiculous. His voice is
It's something
Boy,
else.
it's so good. It's so good, and like everyone pales in comparison in that movie.
All
You
right,
know,
so let's move on
I could talk
to
about
let's talk.
Broadway
I know
forever.
you could.
Sorry.
Dear Canada, turn off the fires. How are you? Are you wearing your mask, Jessica, when you get outside?
Not in the least.
You know, there's particles in the air.
I don't care.
You know what? I don't think it matters. If you can eat White Castles, as long as you've eaten White Castles.
The fact is, until I see, like we saw that day when it's orange, where I would absolutely wear a mask, I don't see it. If I don't see it,
So that did scare you.
absolutely.
I
When you
I
see
can
it like
actually,
that and it's affecting the color of the sky,
yeah.
that is the time to wear a mask. And maybe this is the time to wear a mask. I'm just so through wearing masks, let alone that it's the summer. It's the worst. I still only wear it on the subway, and I
I
will wear it
wear
on the
it
subway
all the
every time.
time when it's like this because it does affect my sinuses. And I saw a woman yesterday begging for an inhaler.
Oh
Like
my
there
god.
are people who are very affected. They think it's
Yeah,
just allergies, but it's not. It's
but
this.
also
No.
what you went through, I can see where you would feel you need to wear it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I listen.
Your immune
Be
system is
be.
compromised.
It is compromised, but everyone should act as if
Yeah.
anything could happen.
Well,
Yeah.
that's every day here living in New York City or really anywhere. But
Speaking of living in New York City, this situation with the garbage bags, this new rule, I told my super today, I go, stop with the bags, man. He goes, this mayor is so stupid. We gotta put, we have put 50 bags in the back. What are we gonna get? 50 containers? I go,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What does 50 containers cost? It's,
I go,
$50.
you stupid.
Wait,
You
Yeah,
what's the new rule? Like putting it out later?
well, that's
I don't have
the
one. Heck,
most
somebody just asked me
common
about that,
sense is that rats can get into garbage bags.
Yeah.
So
and they
we
do.
should stop using bags. One, it's probably better for the environment to stop
Yeah.
using plastic bags. Two, yeah, rats can get in it. So you're not solving anything by
Zing,
just
right.
garbaging them in bags. So, he's like, he
Well,
always
it
amazes
still
me.
doesn't matter. I mean, I was watching the garbage guys take out the garbage the other day because I was waiting to get a city bike, and these poor guys had to lift the garbage bags over the city bike, and stuff was just pouring all over it.
Oh,
Now that I
Oh,
know that, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I can take city bikes anymore. And the thing is, they just those bags just come undone, and they leave more garbage than it's actually there after they leave. The garbage guys, it's not their fault. It's just the rats get into the bags, and then
this is a good
the garbage
question.
is all over the place. I don't have one. Somebody I think you asked me if I had one, right, Marina, last week when we talked.
Oh yeah, I have a very intense one. Mine is Blue Air. It's a
oh,
Blue Air purifier, and I put it on high. It's not on high right now, but when it was orange outside, I had it on high. So like what Evelyn and I were talking about before you joined was like we were worried about our air conditioner and whether or not it filters out those particles. So I had the air purifier on high just to sort of circulate. Do you have an air purifier,
I
Evelyn?
do. Yeah. My girlfriend has asthma, so like with the air quality being really bad, she's like when it's the thing is when it says like it's unhealthy for sensitive groups, like Sophie is a sensitive group, so we have it on lately all the time in our apartment. But it was also good like when we actually first got it like because of COVID stuff. Like if we wanted to have friends over,
Mm.
we would have the air purifier on to like lower the chance that maybe we would get COVID, and we never did. So but yeah, it's a good investment to have, especially now that or to make now that this will be happening more often.
Yeah, it's a great investment. The Blue Air one is small too, and it can it can reach really far in
Oh, okay.
rooms. The Blue Air purifier, I've been using it
Is it
forever.
expensive?
I think this one is actually inexpensive. The one that I have, you got to look for the one that works for you best, and I don't think it's that expensive, but they
Yeah.
have affordable ones. I just so you know, I always go on cnet.com to find out what top brands are.
That's good
I've
to
been
know.
doing that for years, and I always get the
Me too.
best stuff. Uh, yeah. So let's go into some of these hot topics that I think is really important. We'll start with the college debt and the Joe Biden, the Supreme Court. What do you, Evelyn, what do you think? Are you in debt? Do you have loans?
I am actually very fortunate in that my parents paid for my college education. So I am not in debt, but my partner is, all my friends are. I just think the rhetoric surrounding like college debt and loans being that, oh, well, all these other people like had to pay off their loans, so it's unfair to them that people now will just kind of get off scot free, I think is um, really harmful and really, frankly, stupid. So I think it's really unfortunate that the Supreme Court struck down his like student loan forgiveness plan. However, I know that there's still like options open for Biden to try to do other things.
Yeah.
So I think it would be really wise of him to do them because I just feel like it's such an easy win. Like if you're able to get like people's loans forgiven, they're more likely to vote for you. So yeah, it's just really unfortunate. It's been a really tough week with Supreme Court rulings for sure.
I mean, they were on a mission this week. Like they and then
Yeah.
they also the LG for the LGBTQ plus community, the person who says I'm still unclear of this story about the woman who was it a
Yeah.
woman who has a website and she doesn't want her business to help anyone from that community or
Yeah, so it's this woman in Colorado, I think, and she designs wedding websites. And she is Christian, and because of her religion, she wants to be able to discriminate against people. Essentially, because she's Christian, she doesn't want to design wedding websites for queer couples. Now, the thing that I think is crazy is that she made up like a queer couple that came
right.
to her to make a website. Like no queer couple actually did come to her. She just like made up this scenario and then turned it into a lawsuit. And then the Supreme Court was like, yeah, sure, we'll listen to your case, and then voted in favor of queer people like being able to discriminate because of your religion, which I think has wide implications for not just queer people, but also people of color, for like Jews, Muslims. Um, just like you're essentially saying that like you can discriminate against any, you can like, if you can
Yeah.
argue that like if it's against your free speech to not do something hateful, um, then you can do whatever you want. And I just think it's really ridiculous and just like really
It was
awful.
frivolous. It was a frivolous case.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like talking about it with like my queer friends, it's like I would bet you that no queer couple would want to work with that lady anyway. It's just it's
That
so
is
frustrating.
so wild when I heard it was a guy or I think who was like, "I don't know what they're talking about." Like,
Yeah.
I never I mean, Clarence Thomas, that coon, they need to get that motherfucker out. I mean, when he was in the
I can't believe
hospital,
he's still. It's so weird that he's like the original Me Too guy, you know?
Yeah.
me everything. He's the original Uncle Tom. He's the original Me Too guy. He's taken money. He's taken bribes basically to do what people
Yeah.
have asked him. It's like he's definitely proven that he's like doing what someone paid him to do. And then he's
Yeah.
also just probably the worst human being on the planet.
He
I don't
really
know
is.
for it's just so sad because he looks like me. He's black like me, and yet it's like what is
Yeah.
going on? Where's the mentality? But he's a great example of where no matter what color you are in America, what you're striving to be is something that is the equivalent of what white men are, or
Yeah.
what you think white men's status is
For
is
sure.
really messed up.
Something that I thought was really interesting, that I just saw some commentary about the Supreme Court rulings, is that
I know, Liz.
like this like cycle of like rulings is the first time that Clarence Thomas has been there are more than one Black justice on the Supreme Court. So in the past, when Clarence Thomas has made decisions, he's been able to speak as the like leading Black voice on the Supreme Court. And now with Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, he has to like respond to her. Like, for example, like in the affirmative action case, Ketanji Brown Jackson like wrote a very eloquent and very important dissent saying why affirmative action is important and why it should be legal. And like in like Clarence Thomas, who voted to strike down affirmative action, he had to like respond to what he was like to what she said, to like try to justify why he was striking it down. So I appreciate it that there's that kind of record, that it exists, but it doesn't help. It's just
And
so
he
awful, so
benefited
frustrating.
from affirmative action.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
just, yeah.
so it's like, I mean, you could argue maybe it if we hadn't had it, he wouldn't be there, but
Yeah.
it's just, and I worry because a lot of students, it's the combination of like, I'm kind of like, well, you don't want to be, I don't know how many people actually need college these days anyway. I feel like the purpose of college is sort of losing its need for some
Yeah.
some people have different trades they want to do. They want to get out of college. They don't want to, college is not for them, and a lot of people who went to college probably were like, I could have saved that money and gone right into a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the argument that James Altucher put
Yeah.
out there, who used to promote our podcast, produce our podcast. And I remember him saying that to me. He goes, it's just you're just wasting money. And I was like, it's kind of hard to tell Black kids that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell Black parents, hey, we're wasting your money, when the story was, you're the first one to go to college. This is important. And we know that businesses, a lot of times, they hire people based on where they went to school. So that's also important. So I don't know. It's just, I also feel like the narrative of diversity has been corrupted. It's so clear that they think that diversity is a harmful thing.
Yeah.
Those on the right.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, we have proof that diversity is good for everyone, and that diversity actually improves education and improves your scores and makes schools better for everyone. Like, white kids benefit from being in schools with others. Okay.
Yeah.
So they actually lose. This is the thing that's really going to be bad for them as well. And I don't hear them saying this enough.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the thing too is that like affirmative action, like actually the group that it helped the most is white women. Like white women got into better schools because of that. And the majority of white women in America like vote Republican, which is just so against
They
their own
do?
interests. Yeah, well, yeah, it's majority of, not women as a whole, but the category of white woman, and like particularly like white married, I'd even say educated. Like I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain it's like white married educated women vote Republican, and it's just so like ungodly frustrating because there's like that the Republicans aren't like doing things in your best interest. It's just so maddening, and we're going to see the repercussions of this.
Eric Prince is going in on you, Juskow. He said you look like a particulate. That was one. And now he's saying Juskow looks like an other right now. Hey, Elder.
What are you gonna do?
I was telling my sister, because she took the plane in from JFK. She doesn't
Yeah.
like that airport. She was like, I don't like. I go. It used to be LaGuardia, though. You don't.
I just only go to Newark. I don't go to JFK anymore. It's horrible.
She said it was horrible, and she actually was like, I'd rather go into LaGuardia, which is like, I'm like, that's a new
Nicer
thing.
now. Yeah,
Yeah,
people like it now.
LaGuardia used to be like a bus station. And it's getting better, but I was like telling her, well, JFK is in Queens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I told her,
We're
I said,
both in Queens.
she was like, how come people don't really like Queens? I go, people like Queens. I go, Queens is the land of the others. That's what I told her. I was like, because it's like, when you take the train going out to Queens, you see every ethnicity outside of like white, basically going to
Yeah.
Queens. I mean, there's
Queens
white there
has
too, but
I think in like Queens, like specifically, it's like the highest concentration of like different languages in the world, and like rare languages in the world are spoken there. It's really wild.
it's really wild. Let's see what some people are saying. You guys are so smart on here, and I'm missing everything. Let's not forget the white kids at HBCs, historically black colleges, who used affirmative action. Yes, that's very true. And Pew Center research shows a majority of Americans want more diversity in colleges, but they also don't want race to be considered in admissions. Yeah, I think that whole argument is true. And I get it. Like, we want to get to a place where race is not like a factor. You do. I think the conversation just becomes about white kids saying, I didn't get in because I was white. And that's not
Yeah.
what this is. This is about, but I will say this. I hear you, white kid. I hear you. But but the assumption is that the black kid that got in is not as good as you.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
The black kid that got in was not only good, better than you, and
Yeah.
had to overcome so much more than you. Now, I don't know your white kid story, but I pretty much can guarantee that's true. Because as we've seen historically, we're talking about redlining, we're talking about health issues, we're talking about higher rates of diabetes, all those things they wanted to bring up during the pandemic, all those things they wanted to focus on about black folks. All of a sudden now, oh no, let's not talk about the differences between race.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And like when it's like, so now that we've struck down affirmative action, like we should be striking down legacy admissions. Like that's like, you shouldn't be able to consider whether or not someone's parents went there. Like that's so crazy and weird. And also, like, the thing that I think that's very telling is that the only exception where race can be considered in college admissions is for military schools. So
That's
essentially
right.
what the court is saying is that it's okay to make military schools more diverse, because that means that they can pressure and like manipulate like young people of color to like come into those schools to like fight and die for their country. Like that's just like that's where race is okay to be considered. It's just like so blatant how like unequitable and like what they're doing. It's really unconscionable.
Yeah, we see you like we see Juskow when he's focused. Juskow, your face looks dumb no matter what you do. Now, when you're focused, it is the funniest thing. I'll be listening to Evelyn and then I'm seeing you focus and I'm like, it looks ridiculous.
Well, that's how I keep my job.
Oh, that face.
I'm very focused.
It is just such a dumb face. Look at that. Look at him. I showed a picture of you to Rachel Feinstein when you were for your show, and she's like, "What a wild moron!" Because your flyer, you're just like, I don't forget what it is, but it's just like there's some people in the world like they don't have to do much. They just like on looks alone, they just make you laugh.
Or you just, because I always have that face, it makes people angry. If you're mad at me, like
That
you said,
too.
like about Lois, right?
That
On New
too.
Year's.
Evelyn, Elizabeth says you are spot on as well.
you.
That's why we love her.
Thank you.
That is why she's, hey, I ain't no fool. If they taught real history, there wouldn't be so much of a discussion about race. There are so many people that don't know that Egypt is in Africa. Yeah, well, that's in America, because whenever you go anywhere else, they know more about our history than we do. It's crazy when you travel. Like, had I not been a comedian, I may not have learned this, right? But as a comedian, you get to travel, you go to all these places, and then you're like, wow, we're really dumb over here in America. Like, we don't know what the hell. And they even look, they're like, yeah. You don't know these things. Do you know what the map is? Do you know where,
And it's only getting worse because we're like all these like books and like important subjects are getting censored in schools.
Stace Williams says wild moron is the best nickname ever.
Rachel's been using that for years.
Rachel finds, she goes, what a wild moron.
I can picture her saying it.
Because I had this in the picture. I don't have it on me. I have to find it. It take too long. But I think this would be a good time to go to some reviews, Evelyn.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me bring those up. Okay, so this first review comes from Apple Podcasts, which, just as a reminder, if you have not left the Friends Like Us a review on Apple Podcasts, please do so. Please give us 5 stars and tell us what you like about the show. It helps other potential viewers find Friends Like Us. This one is 5 stars and comes from our friend and listener, Jenny Cohen Sanchez.
Yeah.
Who says, I adore Marina Franklin. I rewatch her amazing stand-up comedy special, Single Black Female, often. Comedians like her are superheroes to me because they literally make life better. Her humor is not only hilarious, topical, blunter than anyone, and thought-provoking. Friends Like Us podcast reminds me of a mixture between all that is incredible about one of my favorite comedians of all time, Marina Franklin, as well as it reminds me of the importance of journalism and lectures because of the beautiful interviews of diverse guests. It's extremely informative and interesting and powerful. Of all the many podcasts out there, I believe this is the podcast most worthy of listening to because the content is very rich with information and education while simultaneously being entertaining. Marina never ceases to amaze me, and this podcast is a must listen to. Marina and Friends is also an incredible live stream, and the awesome people I've met through this sweet community is incomparable. So that was a really lovely review. That came in a few weeks ago, and I've been excited.
And she's not here today to see us shout her out. She's usually here. Thank you, Jenny.
That's so lovely. Yeah. And then just 2 other short reviews, both from Twitter. This first one came from our friend Sully, who said, Friends Like Us is the always great podcast created by and starring Marina Franklin. The latest episode features TK Jutis and Shalita Grant discussing hair, and it is terrific. And then this last review is actually about last week's episode with Mateo and Pat Brown. On Twitter, Devin Nixon said, I loved this episode. Well, great reviews this week.
Yes, I got a lot of good feedback about the Pat Brown Mateo episode. Yeah. Well, we all know each other, so it's so easy. It's streamless, like our conversation, but it was very informative and just fun. And this one with TK Dutes. I remember when we kicked you off last week, Juskow, you were saying something about what kind of name is Dutes. It's a Haitian. So I used to date her uncle. Remember the Haitian joke I used to do?
No.
Yeah. The one about I was with him forever. Marina, I didn't know how I was with him. It must have been the voodoo.
Yeah.
You don't remember that joke?
No.
I remember that joke.
How could you not? That was like my signature joke. It's like, I was with this guy for 4 years. I don't know how that happened. I was like, because I didn't like him. That's a long time to be with someone you don't like. Then I remember the first time we went out and he was like, Marina, you're going to be with me forever. I was like, that voodoo is real, you know? So this is his niece. The Haitians, I love Haitians, by the way. Haitians are some of the most beautiful people in the world. And as a family, I still am in touch with his family. Isn't that
That's
interesting?
really lovely.
It was like 8 siblings or 7. It was 8 of them.
Oh wow.
So it was a lot. And then so his niece was on the show, TK. And she is so smart. And when she's on, she just always has the best brand. And I'm part to blame for her need to be in the arts. I feel like there's a lot of young people of my friends who are like blaming me for their kids being into the arts.
That's so funny. I wouldn't mind that. That's a good thing to be blamed for.
Yeah, because I was like, they were like, hey, oh, this is possible. I want to do this too, you know? So I was like, yeah, you can do it. Let's talk about these airlines for a second because I'm flying out next week. This has been the worst week. I mean, it's been consistently like a week where you go, what is the FDA doing? Is the FDA right with the airlines?
The FAA, I think.
Is it FAA? FDA does food.
Federal Airline.
That'd be funny if the FDA got involved.
Yeah.
What are you feeding them on the plane? So, but the thing is like there were people stranded all over the place. I don't know if you knew people, but I knew people.
Didn't.
And the way they were stranded was insane. And it wasn't just weather, it was staff issues. Because people are traveling. And I remember telling a comic, he was moronic, but we won't say his name. But he was like, what are you talking about? I fly. It's no problem. I was like, there's like, I think over 40,000 flights or something like that. It was insanity where people were like stuck in airports and they would get like a notice, like, we can't rebook you until next week.
Oh my gosh.
And then they would tell them, I had a friend who they don't put them up.
What?
Well,
what
why
are they
would
expected to do?
They expect you to sleep at the airport. It's horrible. I don't know how. I don't understand why all of a sudden this is happening. There were lightning strikes. It's like, what are they've never dealt with lightning before? It was very odd that all this happened this week, and then it's been happening before. I don't remember it happening when, even 5 years ago. All of a sudden everything's fucked up.
Because people are traveling, because people are like, I want to live my life and go to Hawaii or go to wherever and they don't have any money. So we're going to see the ramifications of all these people traveling on credit.
It's not just that either. It's also that the FAA doesn't have enough. I mean, when you ever see those maps of what's in the air right now,
it's insane.
Right? It's insane. So I don't know how the fact that they can keep that all together. Meanwhile, all those guys or women that it seems like I've never seen a woman in a special or anything do that, or in a news story, but all those people that do that are retiring. So they've been there for years. And what they're asking, they want to bring in new people, but it takes like 6 years of training.
Oh, wow.
So it's just going to get worse.
Oh, no.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because again, when you see that picture of everything that's in the air right now, it's terrifying. Right?
Yeah.
You're like, wait, how are they keeping track of all that?
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, like this could be wrong,
skill.
but I feel like
the fact that there's not more near misses and stuff is a miracle.
Oh, that is so scary. But I feel like also like part of it is that like since COVID, I think airlines have been a lot like cheaper in the way that like they like treat their customers. I remember like it just like before COVID, like if like if your flight was canceled or something happened, it's like, oh yes, of course we'll put you up in a hotel. And now it's like very much not that, and not treating like customers like with respect or dignity. And it's just it's really awful.
And that's the other thing Stace says is exactly right. The systems date from the 60s, just like the subway systems here, which date from the 1910s.
Yeah.
And they don't have time to fix it. Who has time to stop all the airplanes and fix it and put in a new system? I mean, it's that bad. My old job, we let the accounting system go too long. And so when the salaries of the attorneys got up to over $1,000, we couldn't put in a fourth digit, because when they made the system in the 80s, they're like, well, that's never going to happen. No, it's never going to be $1,000 an hour. Who's going to charge $1,000 an hour in
Oh my
1986? And now, that's what attorneys charge, is $1,000 an hour. And we were behind. And to replace the whole system took 3 years.
Oh
And
my
that's
God.
just an accounting system. Think about the subway or the airplane traffic.
Ugh.
I think what Eric is saying here, I didn't know. Things have been screwed since Reagan fired all the air traffic controllers in the 80s. I didn't know this.
I remember
didn't
that.
either.
I forgot about it.
Wow, that's a very important little detail.
That is, yeah.
So all those people who worship that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I know you do. I see it. I see you, Juskow, with your Nixon haircut.
I really did like Reagan a lot.
Ugh.
That's because I liked Michael J. Fox and Family Ties.
Oh my God.
He was my hero.
Okay. So yeah, true story, I had to get my nieces out of Vegas.
Mm.
They were stuck there in Vegas.
Mhm.
5-year-old, 16-year-old with their uncle, but he had to leave them on the flight and stay behind.
Why? Because they
missed their flight or something. It was not booked right or whatever. And it was insane. And here's what I'm going to say to anyone who's watching this. You do have to get your miles. And this is why it's important. Because when you're not gold, because I'm gold, right?
Yeah, of course.
Juskow, are you gold? No, he's not gold.
I never travel.
Well, so you're not gold. But I am gold. So when you're gold, you get on the phone faster. They have separate phone lines for people who are elite status, okay, than those who are just flying regular. It's not easy with every airline to have like miles with them, but that's why I only travel with the airline I either like the most and have the most miles with, or the one I actually have the most miles with and the highest status with, especially if it's a flight where I know there's going to be something where there's going to be issues or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the only way to guarantee, because I feel so sad for all these individuals who, it's maybe their first time flying, or they don't fly that often. They're going with their family. They have their kids. They have their babies.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And they're stuck in airports, sleeping in airports.
Yeah.
And, it's like how we treat people nowadays in the airline, the way they treat people is absolutely disgusting. There's some things we can do. And the woman that I spoke to when I was trying to get my nieces back to Chicago from Vegas, her name was Kathleen.
Mm-hmm.
I need to send her flowers, because she was absolutely amazing in getting those kids on that plane. And she said, listen, I'm a mother and I would not have this happen. I am going to help you. And I said, you know what? We need more people like you in the world, just that have empathy, that are kind, because I don't know you from nowhere. And we get robots half the time on these phones, and thank God you actually give a fuck, so, but the reason I was able to get through was because I had the status, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of these people are on the phones waiting for hours trying to get a connection.
Yeah.
Juskow looks like he is 10 right now. 10.
What does that mean?
Marina is platinum. I wish I were platinum.
Oh, I see.
That's elitist. Sorry, we all deserve to get what we paid for. Yeah, well, here's the way to, prevent it, to get what you paid for. Here's some strategies. So, you're right, but it's not made up that way. You can really think about like America just by looking at how they sit us on planes. First class always looks like the worst attitude fuckers. You ever go past business class and you're like, these are the most unhappiest individuals in the world.
Yeah.
And you could see that one person who got the upgrade, you could tell, because they're like,
yeah, they're so happy.
They are so happy. So call me an elitist if you want to, but it's also about being smart. Um, all right. What else? Am I missing something? I got stuck. Oh, wow, Aligu. Where you
Hello.
come from? You just
Honeydew.
you just coming out of nowhere with the comment. We must have said something that pulled you out. I got stuck in Miami once. There was no more rooms at the airport hotel, so they gave me a voucher for a downtown hotel, but I had to pay for the cab ride. Well, that's more than they gave um my friend and a couple of people this trip around. Not only that, the baggage.
Oh yeah, that is such a nightmare.
The luggage at the airport, it's just like I think I showed a picture during the holidays. It's just
Yeah, you should. It was like all like packed around the carousels.
that's why you try to check a bag, and then when you can't check that bag, that's why people get really upset. That's
Yeah.
why the Wayans Jr. guy got really upset when he couldn't check his bag on that
Mm,
plane
yeah.
because you risk losing your luggage, and if you
Yeah.
have a connecting flight, you really risk not getting your luggage. So
Yeah.
take your suitcase. Marina is, yeah, I am funny, goddamn. I am funny. Last night I was on stage. I went up after Yamanika, and I told them, I said, I talk to Yamanika like almost 3 hours every day. I think she's like my therapist, which is the funniest thing. I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
That's so funny.
Anyway, guys, we do have to get out of here unless you guys want something else. What is your plans for the 4th of July? Did you say, Juskow?
I don't have any plans either.
Really?
Yeah. So nobody invited me anywhere, and I don't know if anybody's doing anything. I mean, it happens once in a while, I guess. I mean, since COVID, I don't know whether I've done anything from the 4th of July.
Oh, now you're going to bring up COVID? You just didn't get invited.
Well, maybe. I guess. I don't know
Not-
anybody that's having anything.
all of a sudden he's careful. Well, Mike Dickatoo says you hate America. That's why.
Me? I'm the only one that likes America here.
No, you like America. What makes you think we don't like America? Huh?
I don't know.
We don't like your white ass.
Right.
We like America. We just don't like people who are trying to step on not even just the lower class, but the middle class, because that's how they're treating people now. It's really, really insane.
Yeah.
Oh, Dave has been on Friends Like Us. Just so you know, I forgot to answer that question. He was on when we were actually doing in studio, and we had him on with a guest who was a boxer. She was training, and for some reason, I don't know what it is about you, Juskow, but women, they can see
Love
your
me?
sneakiness immediately.
I don't know what you're talking about. That girl
She just kept cutting her eyes at you, and I was like, yeah, you figured it out.
I thought we
figured
got
out.
along really well.
You did. She got your sense of humor, but it was
Yeah.
just like she was just like, I got this one.
You know, on Wednesday, Thursday, I was at this place, and there was my friends had this black girl over, and they're like, "Don't say anything stupid," and and we so hit it off. It was like crazy, and she's British, but she lives in Mexico, but she used to live in Montclair. And it was so funny. And my friends and she was laughing at everything I said. And my friends were like, just asking themselves, like, he's not that funny. I don't understand what's happening. Like, it was just one of those things, I don't know. She was really pretty.
Uh-oh.
We'd have been going out if she didn't live in Mexico. She moved to Mexico.
Oh no, look at that.
And she was age appropriate too.
Was she? Oh, my date, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Is tomorrow.
That's exciting.
Yes, but we'll be off next week, so you guys will have to hold on for the story. But everyone's been telling me what to wear and where to go. I'm like just going for coffee.
I thought you were wearing that green dress.
I am going to wear maybe a green dress, but it's raining tomorrow.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. 70% chance.
I was going to go to what's it called? The wine, City Winery.
Oh yeah.
I'm supposed to go there seeing a Cars cover band.
My agent says he doesn't like the City Winery sound for comedy. He says it's
Oh, that
not
could be
great.
something.
But they do a lot of comedy. All right. Stacey's saying, I just don't feel like celebrating America right now, especially our
See?
national myths about freedom for all. Not in 1776 or since. Hey.
That's too bad.
Well,
She's
you know
too
what?
much
Black
for the
people will still
holiday.
be celebrating no matter what, even though, because we still like barbecues.
Yeah, those are the best. That's the best reason for
Yeah.
the 4th of July.
It's really it's become about the barbecue, less about what it is. And also I'll be in Chicago after the holiday. So next week I'll be dancing it up at the
Yeah,
Chosen Few picnic.
Where were you dancing this past Friday? Where was that?
So that was with Gina Yashere. We were in Brooklyn under the K Bridge.
Oh, that was in Brooklyn?
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
House of Yes. They put
I
out
thought you were somewhere else.
it was under the bridge, and it's so funny because I was telling my Uber driver, I go, this is how you do like concerts and music. You do it somewhere where there's no residentials, people living around. Like that restaurant downstairs, they threw a block party. I think I told you guys it was a block party here.
Yeah.
Concert level from 12 to 8.
Yeah, no.
I'm into celebration, but it was supposed to be over at 6, but it was like no one. Yeah, I am into celebration, but it was just too freaking loud, and it went from 12 to 8. And I'm like, you know what? It's also about assuming one community wants something and another community doesn't.
Yeah.
We have children who live here. We have senior citizens who deserve peace of mind here too. So I'm all for celebrating, but do it in the park. The park is right there.
Yeah, it's so easy.
So I don't give me this whole bullshit about a celebration. It's about your business and you making money. You make your money, but don't disrupt this community, okay?
You know, that's why I
And
hate
and be transparent about what the hell you're doing, because we're all like, what? Why are we like, why is it all of a sudden concert level at like, I was gonna take a nap and now I'm in the middle of a parade. No. So anyway, hey Sujay, it was good. I didn't see you talking here too much.
He said, well, he just got here. That's why he was upset that he missed it.
Oh, you didn't miss much.
Bye, Liz.
So we won't see you next week, but we will see you the week after. We really appreciate you all for being here with us today. You guys are always so much fun. I feel like it's our little community. Like we got each other. And it's a very diverse place here on the Friends Like Us Live. I mean, we've got me, I'm, friendly, funny, Black. We've got Evelyn, she's white, she's Jewish, she's LGBTQ plus, she's funny, she's smart. And then we've got the douchebag underneath us.
What?
He's moron, he's a Nixon lover.
Well,
He's everything that we
Nixon
need to
didn't get a fair shake,
He'll bring you references from the 1880s even. But we do love him. We do love Juskow, but this is what it is. So so Evelyn, tell our viewers where to find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Evelyn G. Frick. I also just joined Blue Sky, which is the kind of competing Twitter one that the guy who started Twitter made. So you can find me there also at evelyngfrick.bluesky, I think.
Is it good?
I haven't used it a ton. It seems like a pretty good dupe for Twitter. It's just not as many people are on it right now.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then you can also find me at my website, evelynfrick.com. If you're excited about the Barbie movie, I recently interviewed one of the actresses from
Margot Robbie?
the Barbie movie. No, her name is Anna Cruz Kane. She plays the Supreme Court Justice Barbie. So I spoke with her.
She's Margot Robbie.
She's very pretty. She's Filipina and Jewish, and we talked about that. So that interview will probably be coming out next week at some point. And so if you follow me on social media or my website, you'll be able to read that. It's very interesting.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you get to see the Barbie movie yet, though?
No, they screeners. They're not allowing as of yet, but I'm hoping. I'm also trying to interview a few other people from the movie. So hopefully in a few weeks I will be able to get a screener.
I will see that
know.
movie.
It looks really good.
Really good.
I'll see anything.
There's a house, right? There's a Barbie house.
Yeah, they made the Barbie dream house in like LA.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so funny.
I know. It looks incredible.
I need to get in that house.
It looks
Yeah.
good.
I'm gonna break in.
Yeah.
All right, Juskow, tell our
I know you did,
listeners.
story.
Tell them about your good news too. Because he has good news.
I do.
Your show.
Oh yes, I have a show at the Comedy Cellar on Monday, July 31st. Back, and that should be entertaining. I'm also opening for Rachel Feinstein, who the Wild Moron will be back on July 14th and 15th down at Uncle Vinny's. Otherwise, no Comedy Cellar nightly show this week. Taking the day off because it's July 4th. And otherwise, I'll see everybody next week. In 2 weeks.
Look at that. You got a congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann.
See? All right. So you could always follow me, Marina Franklin, on all things. The Linktree is scrolling. It has all the links to every which way you can listen to the podcast. And it is true. We have like some incredible guests that they just keep throwing them at me. I can't believe we got the young lady from Netflix's You on the show. I was still I was fanning out completely. And she seemed to be downplaying it. She wanted to talk about her hair products. I was like, I need to know how you got the bro. I want to talk about that. But the hair products was really good. And the story that she has is really good. But you have to listen to it on the show on Friends Like Us. So go to that Linktree. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday or 4th. You can celebrate any way you want. Celebrate what you want on that day and just make it special. And be careful, be safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask still, obviously, if you want to. There's particulates. There's particulates. And Black Lives Matter. Thank you all so much.
Good night, everybody.